So today I've got my hands on the new Ghost X camera by Drift Innovation. It is their entry-level camera, replacing the Stealth 2. It retails for $129.99 US and $179.99 Canadian. Being that it's entry level, you're not going to get 4K with this one. You're going to get max HD resolution at 1080p is 30 frames per second. So you've got 1080p at 25 and 30 frames per second. You've got 960p at 25 and 30 frames per second. Then 720p goes 25, 30, 50, and 60. And WVGA goes 25, 30, 50, and 60. Right now I'm filming at 1080p in 30 frames per second with the Vivid video filter and high bit rate. So you've got 3 video filters. You've got Vivid, Normal, and Low Light. And with each one of those, you also have a bit rate. You've got high, medium, and low bit rate. So today, I'll be testing everything at 1080p and 30 frames per second. But I'll be doing the Vivid filter at high, medium, low bit rate, and the Normal filter at high, medium, and low bit rate. I'll try to get the Low Light filter done tonight, but I don't know if that'll work out or not. So, being that I'm at 1080p, 30 frames per second, Vivid filter, high bit rate, I'm just gonna pull in over here and change it to medium bit rate. If hopefully this guy doesn't, yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, so now you can kind of see what it's at high bit rate. I'll pull over and we'll change it to medium. See if you can notice the difference. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, you can see how the resolution looks. Let's get talking about what I think of the camera. We'll go with some pros and cons. We'll start with the cons. It's been good today, but yesterday I was driving around doing the same thing as I'm doing today, going through the video filters and all that stuff, but the app would freeze up on me. At first I thought it was the camera freezing up, and I would power cycle the camera, then everything would go good, because when I was in the changing settings menu, I'd go to change the setting and error would come up saying that the camera is busy, please try again later, but there would never be a later. It would just stay frozen, so I would reset the camera and go back into the app, and then everything would be fine. But then I found out after that I don't have to reset the camera. I can just close the app down, reopen the app, and it would be good. But it happened probably 4 times, and it was getting pretty annoying, so that was a negative. I think that'll all get fixed though with an app update. I'm sure that's all that is, just a little glitch. So that's not a real big deal, but it was still a pain in the ass. I think my biggest con with this camera is that it's not compatible with a Bluetooth remote. Like, it's not like you don't not get a remote, it's not even compatible with the remote. You've got the app, which I have right now. You can see I still have the Wi-Fi on, so I'm using extra battery. But I can change all my settings, stop and start the camera with the app. But it's not as convenient as just starting and stopping with the remote. I normally would just have the remote strapped to the crossbar pad of, say, this bike or my dirt bike or wherever, and I could just look down on my GNYUS and see if I was recording, or in standby, be flashing red if I was recording and flashing green if I was in standby, or purple or cyan depending on if I was in time lapse or photo burst. So I wish I could use my GNYUS remote with this camera, but I can't. And that's one of the biggest negatives that I have for this one, because I find it pretty convenient using the remote. The next, I guess, con would be, we'll see how it sounds with this external mic hooked up, but drift tends to suffer from wind noise pretty bad. If I don't have an external mic hooked up, you can set the mic sensitivity to low, and it does help, but it's definitely, I don't know, it's definitely a con. If I didn't have the external mic on right now, I don't even know if you'd be able to hear anything. It might just be straight wind noise, which is a big con in my books, because everything I use the camera for is typically motorsports, where I want to hear the engine, I want to hear RPM screaming, I want to hear downshifts, and I don't get that with this camera. You can put the external mic on. I haven't done any road racing or anything with this camera and an external mic hooked up. Usually I'll just hide it somewhere in the fairing and somewhere out of the wind noise where it's a little bit less turbulent, and it works pretty good. But you have to use an external mic, which will bring me to the pros. The fact that this camera you can connect an external mic to. For $179.99 Canadian, $129.99 US, it's a cheap camera, and typically you don't get options like an external mic hookup on a camera at this price point. So the fact that you can even hook up an external mic is a pro, because it definitely makes a difference. The biggest pro with this camera is the battery life. Drift is claiming 5 hours right out of the box, and it's a modular system, so you can buy another battery pack and get up to 8 hours battery life, which is pretty unbelievable. I haven't tested it out yet. I plan on doing that, but 8 hours battery life is ridiculous. You could be riding all day long, and you have 128 gigs of capacity on the camera as well, so you don't have to worry about changing batteries or filling up your card, because at 1080p and 30 frames per second, with a 128 gig card, I think you get just over 9 hours, like 9 hours and 20 minutes worth of worth of footage. So you could ride all day, not worry about a battery, not worry about your card. And that's pretty good. I don't have to carry around 4 batteries like I have to with the GoPro. So definite pro there, probably the biggest pro for the whole thing. What else? I'd say form factor. It maintains the same consistent drift form factor, which is a low profile, bullet shape, rotating lens, 300-degree rotating lens. You've got a 1/4-20 mount on the bottom, which is the standard for photography for tripods. There's a ton of accessories out there for cameras that you can just put this camera straight on. You can just thread it onto the 1/4-20 mount and you're good. So I like that. You've got a lot of options that way. You don't have to just buy Drift Innovation products because it's compatible with everything. The next pro that I like is the video tag mode. Now it's just a mode on the camera that you can switch to that more or less just has the camera recording in the background, but it's not writing anything to the card. So if you're just going on say you're going on a motorcycle trip and you're ripping down the highway, pretty boring, not much going on, and then Sam Squanch jumps out of the ditch right in front of you, and you're like, what the?
Oh my fuck, boys, what if it's a Sam Squanch? It could be.
They don't exist, Bubbles.
Julian, you try telling that to all the people that got eaten by the dirty bastards.
All you got to do is tag that, and it'll write that moment to the card and the previous duration that you select to the card, and then it goes back into a loop mode where it's just recording to the camera but nothing to the card. So you've got, the durations are 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, and 2 minutes. So if you tag something, say you have it set to 2 minutes, if you tag that Sam Squanch jumping out of the ditch, it'll write the previous 2 minutes to that happening, previous 2 minutes to you pressing the tag button to the card, and then the following 2 minutes. So you'll have a total clip of 4 minutes, and then it'll go back to looping until the next event that you want to capture happens, and you tag it and it writes that to the card. So it's a pretty good way to save card space. It does have a 128 gig card, so you don't need to, but you can have 9 hours of just garbage and only a couple things that you actually want to make into a video or that you want to see, and you've got to sift through 9 hours worth of footage. So video tagging is the way to go, because it just saves the clips that you want, the things that are actually interesting, and then you can put all that together in a video or just look at it, whatever you want to do. But that's a big pro. That's the mode that I'll be in for the most part, because for snowboarding or motorcycling, going down the hill snowboarding, there's usually nothing happening, but if you have a good tumble or hit a good jump, you tag it, write that to the card, and you're good. There's another mode that's very similar. It's called card DVR mode, and it's got a little bit longer durations. You've got 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and 10 minutes. But with that mode, it is writing whatever duration you put to the card. So say you have it on 10 minutes. It will be writing 10-minute clips to the card because it's recording. It's the card DVR mode. It's a digital video recorder. So it'll write those 10 minutes over and over and over and over until you fill up your card, and then it'll just delete the oldest 10-minute clip and replace it with the newest one. It'll just keep bumping the oldest one out and writing the most recent one. So if you have a 120 gig card, you'll have a lot of recorded footage from your, essentially a dash camera. So that's pretty nice. You got video tagging and card DVR, quite similar, but different. The next thing, I think it just got introduced in this last update, is the clone mode. So clone mode means I can have up to 10 cameras all being controlled by one camera. So I'd have, say the one on my helmet is the master camera. I could have 9 clones, and when I press record on the master, then all other 9 will start recording as well, and they'll be at the same settings as I have set in my master. So I wouldn't have much use for that, but maybe someone doing a video where they need 9 cameras, then it's pretty pretty nice to have, because then you'll have all the same settings, all the same exposure, same frame rates, and everything like that. So when you do edit the footage, everything's consistent. You don't have to do different color correcting or anything to all different cameras. Everything's the same. You can just do one color correction, apply it to all of them, and then you're good. I would probably just have two. Usually I have a forward and a rear facing camera, so it'd be nice just to press go on the one camera and both of them are recording and stopping when I want. So I like that. So really there's a lot packed into this little camera for this price. It's quite good. I'm pretty impressed with it. I haven't had a whole lot of negatives to say about it. I think I'll probably be buying it. Probably buying two, actually, for this price. Yeah, not a whole lot left to say. Hopefully the footage looks good and you can tell a difference between all the modes, all the bit rates. But yeah, that's really all I got to say about this. If you got any comments, or maybe I've said something wrong and you want to correct me, just let me know in the comments and I will read them. And if you have any questions, I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and hopefully I have the answer for you. And that's for right now. I'm going to head home, and thanks for watching. Catch you on the next review.